fuck is wrong with you?
Guys, you're ruining my intro. Hello, and welcome to Comic Book Wars Podcast, Episode 10, the comicbookspeculation.com podcast. I think that's what the website, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the website. I'm Jimmy Linguini, obviously, and we have some great things going on the website, so you guys should definitely be checking it out. But anyways, why don't you guys introduce yourselves?
Hey, Sleepy John, check out that new Spawn article I wrote. It took me, I wasn't able to make the last podcast because I was watching this new Spider-Man. I was watching that, and then I wrote this article, and I've been doing that the whole time. So I'm glad I'm able to make it to this podcast.
Seems like a weird thing to say.
And that's
I was trying to leave the camera on him for an uncomfortably long amount of time. I'm Nico with your weekend update at comicbookspeculation.com. It's good to be here.
Yeah, there seems to be a lot going on this week, comic book wise.
I was surprised. There seems to be last week. Obviously, it was that'll probably be the biggest week of the year in terms of new books. Last week with Walking Dead, Turtles, a couple other ones that we'll talk about maybe. But so usually there's a big letdown the week after when those happen. This week, I think there's some good books. Again, nothing that's going to be like last week, but.
Well, I mean, the last week books I think are still doing pretty well. I mean, we talked about Walking Dead last week, but now it seems to be selling for what, $30 to $40. Am I wrong on there? Sold mine for $30.
No. I saw Uncle Chuck was selling them for $25 still.
Well, that's not bad.
No, I didn't.
Uncle Chuck.
I was honestly considering buying one for $25, and I was like, man, I don't really want to buy one for $25, but it's probably not a bad deal.
I think I have copies coming from Midtown still, but it seems to be doing pretty well. And then again, like the Turtles one happened on Wednesday. We did a quick post about that on Wednesday. Now everybody seems to have jumped on that information where like Turtles 51 and Turtles 95 seem to be the right books. And now I guess people are grabbing Turtles 96 because it's saying it might be the first full appearance of this
I was
character.
Surprised. Yeah, Nico and I talked about 51 last weekend, and he was saying at the time he thought 51 would be the one to get, and I said, why isn't it selling for more? It was only selling for like $10 at the time, and now yesterday people started posting, hey, have you seen 51 selling for $50 now? So that's her first appearance as a human. 95 is when she gets the transfusion from the Turtles, blood transfusion, and transforms. There's one panel there with her transforming. I'm assuming 96 will be kind of her recovery and a story about her learning that she has become a Ninja Turtle now. And today, I think it's pretty much just today, some news leaked from the creative people on Turtles that 97 she's going to become part of the team and she's going to have a yellow headband. And that was leaked by a couple sources. One was the original storyboard artist who did it way back when 51 came out. So they had plans for her since 51. I mean, that's like a 4-year story. Is my math right on that?
I think it was 2 years. I saw the artist or the storyboard artist say that she worked on the designs 2 years ago. So okay. I'm not sure if it coincided with 51, but I definitely saw her say that it's been established for at least 2 years that this is where they were going with it.
That's crazy to think. Like Marvel would have had it out the next week, but they've been working up the story for. So I wonder if there's any other little gems hidden in the storyline along the way.
Yeah, I mean it really popped up on Wednesday, and I mean we did a full post on it on comicbookspeculation.com. But I was really surprised at how the book was selling. And I mean, we had a link to buy a bunch of copies, so I'm still waiting on those copies to get to me. But IDW still had them at cover price, so
yeah, that's great.
Not a bad book. And now you have me regretting not buying any 51s because I thought it might just be a throwaway issue. But that's
I think 51's the issue, and here's why. Clearly, with all of the different variants that are popping up about the female turtle, people had information about this plot development before, or at least within a reasonable time period to get
like who
inside people.
Like for store variants, for IDW, it takes longer than normal variants because of the way they print them. They're printed overseas, so it takes a little longer for it. So I don't think they knew, especially with I think, like, what are the variants? There's a San Diego Comic-Con variant, which they probably knew, and then there's a Montreal Comic-Con variant, and then there's what the pony variant.
Comics and ponies.
And I think they're set up at San Diego Comic-Con, so I think they were just looking for a San Diego Comic-Con variant, and I think it just worked out for them.
Yeah, because I think they're fair. Don't quote me on this. This is the first time I ever heard of Comics and Ponies. I went to their website the other day, and most of their stuff, well, I won't say their website looked new.
Well, they've been around for a while. I mean,
Yeah.
at least since My Little Pony started being published by IDW. They've been around, because I think they had a few variants that way too. So, yeah, they're not a bad
They had
store.
some older Turtles variants, like I think they had a variant for number 50 or something. I don't know if it was their store variant, but it was just a variant on their website. So it's been around for a while, but I had never heard of them before. You had heard of them before, Jimmy?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, I for a while there was trying to find store variants that you could flip for money, and they were always on my radar because
Gotcha.
They kept coming out with oddball ones that you wouldn't expect variants for. So, yeah.
So, do you think there would be FOC? I think for '96 was like yesterday, Monday or Tuesday.
Monday, yeah.
Monday. Usually it's on Monday. Do you think there'll be a store variance for '97? Is that enough of a window?
I think it's possible, yeah, that there might be store variants for '97, but we'll see.
Because they have a lot of, not a lot, but there was at least 4 or 5 character designs released through Twitter, through different people, as far as like her design variant that they could just throw on a book, I think, if IDW would let them.
Well, I think if you remember, it was Death of Donatello was the last time like a Turtles book really heated up.
Yep.
And that lasted, 2 months?
That's why I sold my 95s. I was like, I remember last time this happened, it didn't even, I don't think it was even 2 months.
Well, they did 3 printings, if I remember correctly,
Yeah.
and all of them pretty much sold well. And they did store variants for some of the printings. I know Montreal Comic-Con did a variant for one of them. So it's, you never know what's going to happen. But
I wouldn't say they sold well, but they only sold for cover. Maybe the second print pre-sold well, but the second print was just like the last panel when Bebop and Rocksteady are walking away, is reused art again. And I remember when it came out, they didn't really sell for anything more than cover.
I mean, 95 is I don't think it hit everybody by surprise. So I don't think anybody was really anticipating this. So I think long term it might be an okay book for at least the next 6 months to a year. But it all is based on how they end up using the character. And if they start making toys of this character,
it's a wrap.
then it's game over.
Yeah.
I mean, I like both the books. I just think that 51 is the better buy at this point if you're stuck paying kind of close to market, because the 95s are getting such a higher price. I don't know that there will be the kind of like Eddie Brock Venom comparison where 95 becomes the superior book. Because she was such a fixture within the series for so long and had so much development within the series. I think it's more analogous to like a Carol Danvers, Ms. Marvel kind of situation or Captain Marvel situation. Plus, she's another turtle. She's not Venom. She's not Carnage. I don't know.
Shredder. She's not Shredder. And
she got the claw hand though.
Yeah, she got like the kind of the Japanese or Chinese old school claw thing that goes over top of your hand. But and the other thing too is that's a good point. Shredder's daughter has been in the older series, and her books never really took off. No, she doesn't.
But she wasn't a turtle, right? So
no.
I mean, who cares about Shredder's? And it's Shredder's granddaughter, right? Is the character that did it? Yeah,
I can't recall. She doesn't have cool armor like him, I don't think.
Well, he's dead now, though, right? He's dead, and she's avenging it or something.
People still read Turtles. That's
and here's my question: so they're going to launch a new movie. Is this peculiar timing? Or are they going to do this as the movie story?
No,
I don't know about all that. Well,
I think
discount it immediately. I think there's a much higher probability than there is with a lot of the crazy Marvel ideas we have.
The thing
I'm still
to
not
think
saying
about
it's probable, but
the thing to think about, and I didn't really think about this until today, until I mentioned it, is they're going to make toys of this character eventually. So these are good books to be holding on to, because once they make the toys, it's
Game over.
yeah. So
But,
I mean,
But I would not
that's
buy
an
right now, I'd say.
yeah.
I
I
don't
wouldn't
think-
buy it now. It's probably going to have a dip, but
Yes.
in inevitability is going to be that there's going
It
to be toys
will.
of this character.
Yeah.
So I think
probably
95
right.
and 97 are going to be the winners, and I think 96 will be slept on, because 97 is going to be the first of her full costume with the yellow bandana.
Mhm.
So we'll see.
Yeah. Also, the one other thing is you're talking about that movie, Nico. This is the City of War arc, which is a previous. There was a previous pretty liked story arc in the old series called City of War too, which I think was where Shredder's granddaughter showed up. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Do you think
think
Megan
that's the only-
Fox could be?
that's the only
she'll
reason
turn
I
her
know
into a
that.
turtle.
Um,
A man can dream.
I mean, are you sure? I really don't think that we should be trying
They're
to
gonna
be
recast that movie.
gender specific to people these days.
they're going to recast that movie.
Turtle, person, whatever it be. Maybe she already considers herself a turtle.
Oh,
So
well, I saw
They're
that at
gonna
San
recast that
Diego.
movie.
At San Diego, they're releasing a Turtles, Batman. No, that's not true. It's at a GameStop exclusive. They're doing a Turtles Batman series of figures.
oh,
So
What-
I thought that was.
they've
cool.
already done like 3 series in the comics, haven't they? Or at least
Yep.
2.
Yep. Now they're doing toys, because you have Batman toys and you have Turtle toys, but you don't have both of them at the same time. So
What if I
I-
took them out of the packages and just put them next to each other?
I think they're doing like 6 different editions, so you can get all of them.
Oh,
Did
which
you
I-
hear Ben in the?
I thought
Did you
was
guys
weird.
see what Ben said in the live chat?
No, what was that?
He indicates that it appears that there may be a store variant for 96 that was at least discussed before FOC, and we may be seeing that pop up. So
Okay. I mean,
maybe-
they're probably not gonna get more than 500. Would be my guess. Maybe.
Well, I know there
1,000.
were rumors about it, but I don't think there are. We'll see.
Man, they're gonna be missing out if they didn't do one. So at any rate,
let's
yeah, I
move
think-
on.
Well, no, the thing is, like, because IDW has like no money, right? So they use the
Anything.
cheapest printer they can, and that's why it takes so longer to print the books.
their books are
because-
good quality though. Sometimes.
Yeah.
95s weren't anything better. They're a little bit better than Marvel books, probably like DC quality. The one other thing, Jimmy, you did mention the con variants. SDCC's got one coming up, and so that's about 2 weeks away, a little bit less. I think people are going to be shocked when they see the price point on it. The artist Dave Wachter already sold his comp copy on eBay, which was really funny because one of the guys who I don't know what his role is, but he's like the TMNT handle on Twitter for IDW, I think. He was like, people were asking him like, "What is this book? I see this on eBay." He's like, "Oh, yeah, that's Dave Wachter's eBay. He must have be selling his already." And they were like trying to keep it a secret so that nobody knew about it. It was kind of like I don't know. It was kind of funny, and it sold for like $200.
I doubt he only got
250 or
one though. I mean, I'm sure he got.
Could
a few.
be, yeah.
Yeah.
And he does have. I honestly did not read the description, but he has. You can bid on a sketch cover that he'll draw for you, and he's a good artist. His sketch covers or his original art is about 800 for a comic book page. I saw it was at like 200 or something for the sketch cover. I'm wondering if it was a charity thing.
I don't
didn't
think
read
so.
it
I
that
think all the money went
just-
to him, so the charity of him, which is fine. I mean,
Sure.
there's nothing wrong with that.
Whatever. Usually when they do that though, it's like a charity. But that's cool. Okay, yeah, let's move on. What do you guys want to talk about next? I think the
Well, I
one
was relying on Nico. But I think he's zoned out. He's tired of us talking about turtles. That's fine.
Oh,
That's
okay.
fine. Like, whatever, dude. I mean,
We just got a lot
What
to
about
talk about. It's a
I'll
big
say
week.
this Wolverine Blade #1. The Delgado variant was announced a while ago, but they did not have the artwork at the time. And I am truly shocked that there was only one store variant for this book. It's a 1 in 50 Delgado. Usually that's going to bring out, and it's a #1. It's Wolverine. It's Blade, who is super hot right now too. Usually that's going to bring out 10 stores to do store variants. There was only one store that did it, and they just did a virgin cover of the Dave Wilkins A cover, which is awesome, but it's
I
crappy
wish the
sword, in
Wilkins
my
was
opinion.
the
The
1 in
variant,
50. Yeah,
dude,
absolutely.
the Del Auto is a big disappointment, especially with the trade on it. It looks like garbage, I think.
Yeah.
I think it's the background that makes it look so bad.
Yeah, it's
If
too
it was,
gray. It just
if it
is
was
too
like
bland.
the Wilkins
But I
is
mean,
awesome.
even
It's got that red background. It really pops.
but the background is the same color as their costumes, which is also
Mm-hmm.
it's bizarre. That's why it's just kind of washes the whole thing. So it's not a great cover, but well, it's a great piece of art. It's just not a
Yeah.
great cover.
It's not to
But I see
excellence
why
of
it's selling
Del Auto
for
level.
what $90 to $100. So
Yeah.
um,
I think it's gonna be hard to find. Not like
well, yeah, who's gonna order 50 copies of a Blade versus
Well,
versus
I honestly
Wolverine
think
mini
how much is
series?
the
I thought
cover
it would
price
have
on
been
the book?
popular.
Well, it's a mini series.
Probably
How much is the cover
$4.95.
price?
I'm guessing
I think it's
$4.95.
it's $3 or $4.99.
All the Marvel stuff is usually $3.99 unless they feel like they can squeeze another dollar out of people.
I think it's $4.99.
Yeah, there's
Because
no
I thought
reason.
about ordering 50 of them,
There's no reason. To
and then I
price
saw
them
the
better.
art.
Yeah, it's. I don't know. But anyway, I mean, if you can find one for ratio or less, I think it's a good pickup for tomorrow. What do you guys think about Jimmy? Have you read anything about Venom 16? Maybe Dylan Brock might get a symbiote in that one finally. Donnie Cates is back writing.
Is that the
again
one that
after-
comes out this week or no?
Yeah, comes out tomorrow.
I think there's supposed to be like some kind of printing error in some of them.
It's
So that's
accurate.
something to
It's
watch out
accurate.
for.
I've got one. It's on the spine. It's to call it a color rub would be the nicest thing.
No,
you
what
could
are you
possibly
talking
say
about? No,
it.
what are you going on? No.
The
no.
Venom 9. I mean, I've
No,
got them
that's
downstairs.
not-
I can show them to
that's
you.
not-
What's the printing
That's not
here?
the problem. What are you talking about? That sounds like a shipping issue. Where
Did
are
they
you going?
mix
What's
it
the
with-
printing error, Jimmy?
One of the pages has like the dialogue is blank.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
interesting.
it has nothing
The
to do with
books
your like
that
non.
came to my local comic shop
picked
are
up.
also
Yeah, sure.
mangled.
What a loser. We
They
should all
just
make fun
are.
of this guy.
I mean, I don't
Who is this
Really?
guy?
appreciate your inability to describe.
Yeah. Well, you said
anything.
you knew what I was talking about. But anyway, so
I think that was actually supposed to be a braille page for Blind Adam.
it could
Yeah.
be.
They screwed
But
it
there's
up.
it's a 2-page panel, and it apparently some of the dialogue isn't there. So I'm not
Check
sure if
and
that
see-
affects all
check
of
and
them
see
or
if
if that
the A
just
covers
affects.
are mangled at your local comic shop too. Mine are. One
mean,
of the
whatever.
stores I went to.
The reason there could be something going on with it is they're doing a PX exclusive that retailers can buy. The last ones they did for Venom was 3 and one of the other ones.
But then
Just
they
the
three and
coincided-
nine- 3 and 9.
A and B.
they coincided with San Diego Comic-Con though, the last one.
3 and 9 were the ones they did that were both important books in Venom. 3 first Null, 9 was the first full Dylan Brock. So that's kind of how the pieces that have been put together. I don't know. We'll see tomorrow when the story starts coming out. Could be nothing, but just something. If you're at the store, maybe flip through it, see if there's.
And sorry, the PX exclusive is just the regular cover, except it says PX on it.
It's probably like a black and white with a white background or something. Or no, I think it's like a color fade or something.
Oh, okay.
'Cause, yeah, it's color fade.
Weird.
They're doing an Immortal Hulk one too for 20, maybe. I think. I don't know. It's
Seems to be a
20 or
lot of
21.
store. It seems to be a lot of variants, store variants for Immortal Hulk 20.
Yeah, I don't know why. Is it people just still are buying that?
Well, I noticed Alex Ross did one, and
Yeah.
a few, and
Well, Ross did it.
Aspen did one for San Diego Comic-Con, where it's a Dale Keown one. So
Ross
I
did it for San Diego too. They just shipped ahead of time, which was nice of them because
I
they're
just-
selling through the roof.
I just thought it was weird.
And also, the Ross wasn't the Ross reused artwork,
I don't know.
so it wasn't really much work for him to. At least I know the Virgin was reused from an omnibus, Hulk 1 omnibus.
Oh, the one that's really popular that sells for like a huge amount.
Yeah, they're selling for like 150 for a set of the 2, and I think they
No,
were.
I meant
like-
the omnibus. But yeah,
Oh yeah, it's a variant cover, I think maybe.
Mhm.
Yeah, those are hard to find. Those variants.
yeah, they're not like you could order as many as you wanted, as long as you ordered one of the other one. But yeah, I guess because of the big price tag, nobody really did. It's weird.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. So there's another Carnage splatter book too.
Well, they haven't really been doing anything recently. I've been noticing. But what's the Carnage
Yeah.
Splatter book for this week?
You don't know, Jimmy?
No, I'm asking you.
I heard it was Black Cat #2.
Yeah, that's clearly what it is.
Have we determined if there's extra pages in it?
I haven't, like, I don't care enough to look, but that's what I've heard.
I went through the 2 that I had, and the last page does seem out of context of the story. But I don't know. The 2 that I had came out the same week because it was the Venom and the Symbiote Spider-Man. They don't, like, it's not like you read this page and then this page. I'm not sure if they are different or not, honestly.
Weird.
I never had an original to put next to it.
Yeah, I just never cared enough. So I guess the other big books that come out this week, though, are Second Coming 1, which was originally solicited by Vertigo, but got pulled due to backlash.
I was really
something.
hot. Yeah, when that book got canceled, it was solicited by DC, and so there was an online petition signed by 200,000 people for DC to cancel it because it's called Second Coming. It's Second Coming of Jesus.
Well, the premise is that God sends Jesus back to Earth to roommate with a superhero.
Yeah.
So he can learn how to use his powers better, which sounds weird, but we'll see how that works out. So because of the backlash, the creative team pulled it out of DC because they didn't think it was being promoted properly, and now it's being published by Ahoy Comics. So there's 2 covers. They're selling well, I guess. So we'll see what happens.
I thought it would have more heat on, honestly. When it got canceled, I said, whoever picks this thing up, I'm going to buy some. And so I checked it out this week. It's not really selling. It could be one of those ones like down the line that does end up selling for $20 someday, but we'll have to see what the actual content of the story is probably first.
Well, it's not the first comic book to deal with Jesus Christ in a controversial way.
Oh.
So it's just weird that these people jumped onto it, and it was probably because it was DC. But
what I read was there was like sexual content in it and stuff. So the Real Bible Thumpers, I think, thought that was not appropriate.
How would you know? Like, nobody knows what the content is because we haven't seen the comic yet. So
it's a good point.
I think they were just assuming there was sexual content, which there probably is, knowing the creative team. So we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah.
But and then also Image has another #1. Well, they have a few #1s. One being Reaver #1, which sold out a few days ago at distribution and seems to be trending just above cover. What do you guys think about that title, Nico?
I'm hoping that the ones I pre-ordered are at my other local comic shop, who is apparently not real happy with me. We'll see.
Oh, that's the one that you said couldn't grade, right? You said that last week on the podcast, and then they started sending you texts, and they were all mad at you.
You're putting words in my mouth, but I will say that I did.
I feel like that's what happened.
I didn't necessarily agree with how they graded.
I mean, you didn't say who it was, so I mean, I don't think they can be. I don't think they can be too upset with you because I mean, you didn't name who they were, but you also like went to them and then told them, "Hey, like I do this podcast, you guys should listen," and then knowing that, then said that they couldn't grade, which I think that in itself is really funny.
It's more like price because there's no grades, but price proportional to what a graded book of that would go for.
I'm sure.
We're gonna buy for me.
I'm sure we'll work out.
I mean, if you want to buy those books, Jimmy, I'm sure I can negotiate it.
No, I'm not interested. No,
you're not interested.
The ones that you said were overpriced because they were overgraded.
I sent you pictures.
You see what you want to do is you want to walk away. You don't want to keep reinforcing that they're bad. You want to say you were wrong. But it's okay. I get it. That's
I think
cool.
To get back in good graces, you just need to put the cash up and buy them, and then they'll be like, "All right, this guy is a good customer again." At least that's what they told me.
Yeah, they told me too that you have to buy the books that you think they overpriced and overgraded to be back in their good graces.
And never sell them because.
But yeah, Reaver 1 seems to be doing good. Image.
I think Reaver
was choked on that last part.
Reaver is a quick flip. I feel like this is one of those books that gets hot and then never comes back again. And there's nobody on the creative team that I've even heard of before. Not everybody has to get started
Justin
somewhere.
Jordan on that one?
No, it's a different book.
No,
everybody has to get started somewhere, and it could be a great read, but I just don't see it with this one.
Space Pirates?
Space Bandits was last week, buddy.
No. Which one's this one? The Satan thing? Satan in space?
Why is everything in space?
No, that was the Jason Aaron one. That was in space.
Yeah.
Sea of Stars?
Yeah, Sea of Stars. But the other Image one that comes out is Unearth #1, and this was originally like it came out in 2017 convention variant, and they called it Downfall. So we'll see how that. I mean, the convention variant seems to be selling for $60 to $70, and that's usually a good indication that the #1, like usually the Ash Can or the first appearance starts selling really well, and then the #1 does. Because there's tons of titles where the Ash Can or the first appearance convention variant, whatever, sell for nothing, and but usually when it sells well, it's a good indication that the #1 starts heating up. So I think that's a good one to keep an eye out for. I haven't seen any sales above cover yet, but I think that it's probably on track to start doing that. And,
So
and
was
it's written by Colin Bunn, if that means anything, because he's been on a pretty hot streak recently.
I think it does. He was doing Venom when Donny Cates was on break. Was that Downfall published by Image or was that self-published?
It was a
Image
self-published convention variant, yeah.
Oh, so Image picked it up.
I would assume so, yeah.
I might have ordered those too. Ooh, I'll have to find out. I don't
But
remember.
Unearth, well, there's 2 covers for Unearth.
I just ordered some Colin
They both
Bunn
look really
series,
cool.
but I don't remember what the heck it was. He's been coming out with so many different books, it's hard for me to keep track.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like he's coming out with a bunch and just seeing which ones stick. But you also have to see, like, does that mean he's going to end a few? And I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. Maybe they're all miniseries and they all eventually end, and he has them finished already.
Harrow
Who knows?
County still going?
Is
It's
Harrow
up.
County?
I think it ended, but I'm not positive. It was up way more issues than I thought it would ever get to. It was in 30s, I thought.
I,
You
don't
guys
know.
done
I know
with new
Sixth Gun too went to about that. Yeah, okay, we're done with new books. What do you want to talk about?
Six
Nico?
Gun went to 75, I think.
What? It went that far?
I can't remember. I bought the last issue. I can't remember how far it went. Just
Yeah.
ended last year, 2 years ago.
Let's talk about Far From Home.
Far from
Oh,
Yeah.
Spider-Man.
After Far From Home.
Spot.
Yep.
Oh.
Oh, all I know
First
is like
Far From Home spec.
the last one. What was the last one called? Like Spider-Man Far From Beyond or something. It was just added onto Netflix, so you can catch up on it before you see the new Far From Home, or you can just watch it and then listen to John spoil it right now. I'm in.
Do you get paid a plug to put for Netflix or something?
No, I just like, what else do you have to do? You just got to watch Netflix sometimes. That's the first time I mentioned it. I mentioned it to you earlier because I was talking about
I don't
that
even know
terrible
what's
scene they took
happening
out,
right now.
but whatever. Anyways, how was the Spider-Man movie?
Great. I'll have some of the royalties from the Netflix plug. I honestly thought Spider-Man Far From Home was better than Avengers Endgame. The story I thought was better. It was more believable. There weren't as many of like these loopholes that people talk about forever that people are still talking about, like Endgame, that I think upset people. The one thing I will say is I think some people, I haven't read anything. It's been out for a week. I figured more people would be upset with Mysterio's powers because they're all man-made powers. And I thought it was very believable. It was cool. He was using drones from that Tony Stark had left back.
Those scenes were amazing.
Yeah, I mean it. I thought the imagery on it was really good. The CGI. Jake Gyllenhaal was really good.
Well, I mean,
And-
like, let's think of this through. What kind of powers does Spider-Man really have?
I don't understand. I always thought like that the web came out of his wrist.
No, because he made the
But-
thing, right? So
like in the comic books, I mean, I
Yeah,
always
he
thought
just-
it came out of him.
he does like clown acrobatics, right? That was his power. That he somehow was like this great acrobat, and he could sense danger, right? Those are his powers. So
And he's strong.
realistically,
That guy-
the only really
he's very
the
strong.
only characters he can fight are people that don't have any powers. So I think it makes sense that they would go with Mysterio not having any powers. I don't know. This is the first I've heard
It's
of
true.
it. But I'm
Yeah,
just
it's
saying,
true.
like, I think that makes sense just because Spider-Man is what he's like he's supposed to be 15, 17 maybe. 17 is the oldest he could possibly be.
Yeah,
So I don't know.
I mean, are you going? Well, are you going?
I don't know. I'm just
pre-
thinking like
pre-
how old he would
pre-snap
actually
or
be in the
post-snap?
movies, and
All right, well,
and
let's get
how
into
powerful
the
he could actually be, and how he couldn't actually fight superheroes. He'd have to fight humans.
That's a good
Yes.
point.
So-
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know.
let's get into the books, right?
So I
we've
would
all
recommend
seen-
going to see the movie, and definitely
Amen.
the books. The one that seems to have stood out, which was it did come out before the movie a little bit, and it's not a big book. Was the Astonishing X-Men #6, the first mention of Sword, which is the umbrella that is over top of Shield, and I don't recall them saying Sword in the movie in the end credits, but all the speculation is to that because Nick Fury's on vacation on one of the ships of the Skrulls, and the Skrulls have been impersonating Nick Fury and Maria Hill on Earth for a while.
Okay,
So,
which made what other book take off?
Are you saying just because of Talos again in the movie? Incredible Hulk 418, 419?
Yeah, and there's so many.
That's
like,
such a
weird
garbage
variants.
book, man. Yeah.
Well, there's so many weird editions, right? Like there's the deluxe, the not deluxe, the newsstand, the
There's an ash can
on the cover.
of 418.
There's an ash can, and like none of them have really gone anywhere, but you can move them now.
Yeah, they were dead in the water when basically
Absolutely.
Captain Marvel was a huge flop in terms of leading right around the movie in terms of selling comic books that were related to it.
And then
leading
who
up
didn't
to it,
appear in the movie?
I don't recall seeing Norman Osborn, who
wasn't in the movie.
Heavily rumored. I don't recall seeing him. Maybe I missed him.
Well, no, he's definitely not in the movie. And ASM 37 is still super hot, but there have been reports that indicate that Marvel and Sony weren't able to broker a deal for Norman Osborn and that he's out. And there have been reports similarly that Craven is in for, I don't know, Spider-Man Part 3 or his own feature film with Sony or whatever. And I get, again, none of that stuff's substantiated. I don't know where necessarily.
No, they announced
the
Craven movie. They announced the Craven movie a while back when they announced around the same time as the Morbius
as a
movie
solo Sony film, not as the villain in Spider-Man 3. And I mentioned to Jimmy that Norman Osborn, well, he's done, and he's like, nope. People still believe in Dark Avengers. People are still buying ASM 37, and sure as hell, people are still buying Dark Avengers, New Avengers 49.
I mean, they can do like the rumor right now is Thunderbolts, right? And I mean, that's happening. So people think that the only way to lead to Thunderbolts is through Dark Avengers, but we'll see. That's really the only way that Marvel's done it recently that has resonated with anybody. But I mean, there's a million ways they could do Thunderbolts, so we'll really see how it ends up. And I mean, Norman Osborn doesn't have to be on the team. He doesn't have to lead the team. He doesn't have to make the team. He doesn't have to do anything. I mean, he obviously is an Iron Patriot. So, I mean, we'll see what happens. Unless they did that storyline. If they went back in time, he somehow becomes the oligarch of the Marvel Universe and takes on Iron Man's spot in the Avengers. And how did he do that? Didn't he become like president of the United States or something? And then he's like, I'm going to take that. That was a great thing. And then, and that was way before Trump and stuff. So there was a lot of political messages in it. But and now looking back, it's kind of creepy to be like, oh, wait. But it was a great series. What was that? That was the whole Dark Reign storyline, and that went over to that was when the Marvel books, when a storyline would happen, it would affect everything, and they actually did it really well. So I don't know.
And they just did that with War of Realms, 67 issues in War of Realms.
Yeah, but I mean,
if you remember, Dark Reign comes out of Secret Invasion, which is what people, But again, I have very little faith that any of that stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, Dark Reign could happen without Secret Invasion,
absolutely,
realistically. I mean, the only way that Secret Invasion did it was it made the world go, "What is happening? What is happening?" And then Norman Osborn came in and was somehow able to. I guess it was run for president, I believe. It wasn't, or it was mayor of New York. It was something insane like that. But I'm pretty sure. I think it was president. And the only way he was able to do that was because something terrible happened in the U.S. So I don't know. I thought it was really well done, and I think they could do that without doing any of the Secret War stuff or Secret Invasion stuff. So we'll see what ends up with that.
Yeah, and here's this sort of leads me to my next big question, which is, in preparation for San Diego Comic-Con, are there particular books you guys are looking at? Particular books you want to sell ahead of San Diego Comic-Con, particular books you want to buy ahead of San Diego Comic-Con, you're thinking about buying or selling before or after. I think it's a real interesting time for speculators. This very moment, the week leading up to SDCC, and then the week following. There's a lot to be done.
Did Marvel Studios announce? I'm getting confused with this now because Marvel Studios is not going to Hall H, correct? Which is
right, absolutely are.
No, they're
big
not. They're not. But
Warner
Disney,
Brothers is.
Disney is
No,
right.
Disney, Marvel at Hall H. Absolutely. Warner Brothers is not. DC
sure?
Television is.
Okay.
Yes.
I thought.
So if you've got Marvel stuff, the question is, do you want to be selling it now, really hedging your bet that you're going to be getting premium prices because people are going to want to buy it in advance of
Yeah, but what do
the
you think is going to be
announcement?
announced? Like nobody
think-
knows.
I
There's
think
nothing
Black
to
Widow.
sell.
They're
Black Widow.
speculating, or they're at least, let me rephrase that. Marvel has intimated that there will be some new announcement. So what does that mean? Are they going
Yeah,
to
there's nothing to
announce?
sell. There's literally
It
nothing.
has to be Black Widow.
No, it
No,
doesn't
there's
have to be
nothing I
Black
would.
Widow.
That's the only
Well-
thing they're filming right now.
Yeah, so
mean,
if what
Eternal,
Nico's suggesting
Shang-Chi,
is
and
that they're
Black
supposed to
Widow
announce a
are
new
all
thing,
givens.
yeah, I don't know.
Shang-Chi hasn't started filming yet. They haven't even.
I don't
Yes.
think there's I don't
Shang-Chi
think
yet.
there's really anything you can be doing. I don't think there's any books to be holding out hope for. You just have to wait for the news. There's nobody knows what's going to happen yet.
So
There's no question about that. Nobody knows for sure, or if anybody does, they are absolutely quiet
Okay.
as a church mouse.
now, nothing to be selling, but you're saying should you be buying something? And
Well,
the only thing they could
potentially
announce, I
there's
think,
stuff to be selling, right?
What's
I mean, you could sell anything that you think people will pay a premium for in anticipation of a potential announcement.
yeah,
or
like
like
you'd have to
if-
be like literally Miss Cleo, and you'd have to be smoking crack, I think, to be doing what you're suggesting. Like you can't be.
I don't know the relationship, but
Well, like Miss Cleo pretends to see the future, and I don't think there's
excuse me.
anything. I don't think
I
there's
get
you ever
that
had
part.
a
I just didn't know
session?
the crack part. Like crack helped her actually see the future.
It is possible, but I don't think there's
Okay.
anything you can wait. Like, I think you just have to wait and see for San Diego Comic-Con because we have no idea. I mean, you could sell books now, but they could announce a completely new project, or they could just show Howard the Duck animated stuff. You never know what's going to happen. So
Yeah, they could have the animated Hulu stuff. They could
There's a ton, right?
they could have the Phase 4 finally release the actual one instead of 18 different fan made ones that now we don't know what's real.
yeah, and then so I don't think there's any books you can be holding.
Not for
out
Marvel.
or watch.
Not for
Well, and
Marvel.
there's D3, or is it called D3? I forget. The Disney thing that's right after SDCC.
Yeah. So it's something
So
like
I
that.
think,
Yeah.
and I could be wrong about this, but I think that they will do about, half of their stuff, whether it's like half the movies, half of TV, plus something new at SDCC. And then I think they'll do the other half of the movies, the other half of TV, plus something new at D3. That's my guess. That would make sense. They're so big now and there's so many projects. I think that's the way to do it, but we'll see.
So, not related to Marvel, we talked about some DC stuff a couple weeks ago because they're going to have panels and clips from TV shows like Batwoman and Pennyworth. I think Image may have a couple announcements. I'm wondering if Todd McFarlane is going to say something about Spawn movie, because last he said is like everybody basically said no, we can't agree. Well, he said nobody can agree on the script and the budget, but he wants like complete control over it. I don't think he'll ever give up on it, but I'm wondering if he's just going to say it's dead right now. We need to go back to the drawing board and lose Jamie Foxx and Jeremy Renner. I mean, that would be huge if they lost them.
Yeah, I mean, it would be.
That's the only thing selling the movie right now.
Yeah. I don't know.
The other thing I think will possibly come out is finally what is going on with Paper Girls from Brian K. Vaughan, as he teased a month. He teased a month ago. We talked about it on the podcast.
What did he tease a month ago?
He just said on Instagram something big is coming. I got an announcement. Also, number 30 is going to be the final issue of it. So I could see him maybe coming out. I don't know if he's scheduled to be there, honestly.
Somebody started
I don't think
pushing
he
out.
does a lot of public appearances.
Someone started pushing that. No, he does San Diego Comic-Con though every year.
Does he?
Somebody
Okay.
pushed out that book recently, right? And said that there was rumors, so it started moving for like what $20 now. Paper Girls one.
Yeah, Key
Yeah,
Collector put
9/8
out
are
again.
cheap.
Oh,
It
Key
was-
Collector
it
did
was-
it. Oh, okay. I didn't know.
It
who
was put out a month ago though on his own Instagram. I mean,
Yes.
it's
Key
amazing.
Collector though did that recently though, and now it started selling. That's what
Yep,
happened.
2 days ago.
I don't know, dude.
Oh, okay.
2 days ago.
9/8s were like 79, 80 bucks.
Yeah. And when
on
he posted
eBay,
that
so-
thing, when he posted on Instagram, some sold, but there were still some available for like 80, 85 bucks that were not selling. I just don't
they're lower
I don't
now
get the
than I
market
think.
today at all. It's amazing how little people pay attention to stuff and how much they scramble to buy stuff for way more than they could have when stuff comes out. But not everybody can do what we do, even in terms of just trying to stay up on what's happening week to week. So I can get that, but I feel bad for people that pay like that were buying stuff because of a Key Collector alert when it was already put out that something was going to
Well, I
be
mean, if they had
happening
been
with it.
listening to our podcast, they would have known. Apparently, because
Yeah.
apparently we talked about
We
it.
talked about
I
it
don't
on
remember.
the podcast,
But
episode 6. Go back.
you remember
the
the episode and everything. Okay,
tape. Check the tape, son.
that's impressive that you remember the exact episode. I'll give you that.
I went back and looked at the outline to see how long ago that was.
Yeah, I think I have some copies, and I think we talked about it, and I think I just haven't done anything with them. So who knows? Who knows what's going on with that stuff though?
What do you so Nico and I actually met up at a convention this weekend, and Arthur Sweedum was there. I've always heard that's how you're supposed to say his name, Sweedum.
Oh,
I don't know if it's Sudam.
I
Most
thought it
people
was like
know about
Sidam.
it. Sidam, yeah.
Who knows?
Everybody knows him from the Marvel Zombies work. He's been at this convention a couple years, I think, and his work is very cool, I think, but he lost a lot of flavor, I think, with the real tight comic book people, the very inner circle, when like he was a couple things came out about him being not like so honest with people. There was one story that I don't know if you could really ever substantiate it. He stole a table from a guy next to him at a convention.
No, you can substantiate. So what there's a few stories. What happened
You
was
get there early.
no, Bleeding Cool came out with an article about how what was the article? They came out with an article about Sidam about how like he would swipe stuff, and they found all of these swipes that he had done throughout his career. And there were tons of them where like they were
You're talking
obviously
like trace overs, like
no, not even where they were photoshopped images where
Greg
he had, like
Land
put a filter
style?
on. No, where they were like photoshopped images and they were put filter. What Greg Land did was he
John
would
Gallagher style.
yeah, because Greg Land, what he did was he would take like porn images and then he would just draw over them. So
Or,
all these female characters would have faces where they're like, and like that was the whole outrage was they'd
Or
be in
Sports
these,
Illustrated swimsuit.
yeah, they'd be in these really weird poses and they'd have these really weird like sexual expressions on their face, and you're just going like, what is
Is
going
that all
on?
the Marvel covers?
But yeah, so when Bleeding Cool did that, one of the things they did, I think they did like 4 articles about it at the time because they kept finding more, and one of them they found that his website, he had it promotes him and it says, hey, like you need to bring me to conventions. I have big lines, and he had all these pictures of him at conventions, and what he would do is he photoshopped images of him having long lines at conventions. Which I thought was hilarious. So he even photoshopped promotional
That's
images of himself.
interesting.
And
John,
that's
what
when
was your experience with
but
this
that's when
line
the-
at
but-
our convention?
but that's when
I
the
can't-
news came out though that he was also when he'd set up he'd put his prints everywhere and take over other people's tables.
Oh, that's what it was.
yeah.
He does have like 4 tables set up. I'm just amazed that people find these pictures, because the picture that was that he photoshopped of the line was people outside of San Diego Comic-Con. Just like a line of people waiting to get in. Like, how do you see that picture and then also figure out that they cut out this picture of people outside? There's
Google
no
image
context.
search.
Yeah. No,
But
it's
you
not.
can't-
No, dude, that was hard.
You can't come up with that though,
Yeah.
because they cut the people out of outside in a line and then they put them inside at his table.
but
So
I
there's
guess,
no way to cross-reference the image search, I don't think.
So he's been
But
doing
at any rate,
store variants for Deceased for I think it's Comic Book University, that store. So he did issues for, variants for 1 and 2. I don't think they did one for 3, and they're doing one for 4. And so the most recent controversy is it's a Killing Joke homage, and what he did was he completely just took an image, like a cosplay image, and has photoshopped it a little bit. And
Barely.
yeah. So like Bleeding Cool put out an article with an animated GIF where it's like exactly the same image.
They called it like it matched up the pixels, something like that, which was pretty amazing. Like like you're saying, it is more like a photo manipulation than even drawing.
Sidam said that it's 100% like completely he did it himself, and he used that image as reference. He defended himself.
My God.
He came out with like a long, like I think it was like 4 paragraphs, and
I
he says
thought he offered to pay the guy something too.
No, and he said that's all I'm going to say about it. But he
That's
said
incredible.
that like everybody's been doing it forever, and I think then Dave Johnson took one of his old Marvel Zombie things and put like a Grosko Mark's
Groucho Marx.
nose and glasses thing on it, and it was like, oh hey, look at this cover I just came out with.
No, he did not. That's
No, he
amazing.
did, and that's been like, and then his signature's on the bottom of it too, the Johnson signature.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Where did
so
you put
that's
that on
been-
his Twitter or something?
No, that's on Facebook, so that's been getting a lot of
Oh
traction
my-
recently.
I have to look that up.
Are they
That's
still
amazing.
selling the store variant?
Yeah, so like I mean, it's already commissioned. I don't think DC can pull it. So
That's hilarious. I like Dave Johnson's work. He does some cool stuff.
yeah,
He's done some homages like Nick Fury. He did like a Deadpool one, which is pretty cool.
yeah, but he's never like photoshopped his image.
No,
right?
he's
Like,
never
yeah.
said like this is my original work. I didn't. Yeah. So at any rate, he was at this con and he's been there and for multiple years, and he takes like at least 3 tables, 8-foot tables, and he has like his prints laid out, and he's got kind of like he's got like what do I want to say, like a D-level Greg Horn setup. Like Greg Horn has a ridiculous wall that has lights all over it and stuff. His is like a 5-cent version of that. And then he had like all of his, a bunch of his comics laid out too. And he gets a line. He gets people that want to, want his autograph and talk to him or whatever. But I was walking by probably at like 4:00 and the show ended at 6, I think. And there was nobody really there. He was eating like a bologna sandwich, which was hilarious. And the guy I was walking by with knows comics pretty well too, and he knew who he was. Obviously, we knew who he was. And he's up there. He stands up. Hey guys, this is all my work here. I actually drew all the art to these covers. See these like Marvel Zombies? I'm the artist for these books. Like, do you want to get a print or an autograph over here? We just kind of like, we didn't even say anything. We're just like okay, and just kept walking. It was so weird. Like. Like, I think people know him well enough if you're at a comic convention, unless you're there like to cosplay with your kids and stuff, you know his work. And he was just like selling himself so hard to sell like a $15 print. I felt bad for him. I was just like, I don't know. I kind of thought like, man, maybe back in the day before all this stuff about you came out, I would have been more interested, but I'm not interested at all. I mean, yeah, it was ridiculous. So that was that. What do you think, Nico? Did you see anybody getting his autograph? I mean, there probably was, right?
I paid zero attention to him. Yeah.
What were you focused on?
I was focused on Jay from Jay and Silent Bob. That was about it. Yeah.
Go on.
That was it.
Oh.
He's a gentleman, and we had a nice conversation, and that's about the extent of it.
He was there with Comic Book Men, 3 of them, the 3 guys.
I didn't get a chance to talk to those guys, although we did run into them. We were eating in that hotel restaurant.
Ming Chen was staying there.
Yeah, we just saw him pop out of a car and like run in to the hotel for whatever reason, and then run back out.
Again, honestly, I kind of felt bad for him. I just don't think it was probably not a big enough show for them to get the attention
they needed,
as to have
absolutely.
somebody there all the time.
Right.
Like, that takes a big show to have people lined up, especially when you're going to sit there all day. When you go to a lot of these bigger conventions, say like Heroes Con, the bigger artists are not there all day. They'll come when they want. They'll go and do a panel maybe, and they leave when they want. Now, the smaller artists, the guys that are still trying to get themselves known, they'll be there all day. But I think these guys were there all day, and they were just kind of talking amongst themselves. And
Yeah, it's grueling.
yeah, I don't know. It was in a in an arena, so it wasn't like a small setup or anything.
No, I thought it was a good show.
What does that mean in an arena? What does that mean? Like in a
It was
hockey
like
arena?
yeah, I think
Do they still have like the
a-
board set up? Those are the best shows when they still have like the
Yeah.
boards. So you can't if you body check somebody, you got to body check them into the boards.
they don't have like
Those are
the
my
glass
favorite
up
Comic
still.
Cons.
I mean, it has
Well,
like all the
why
arena
not?
seating. And maybe I'll talk
What?
to the promoter about leaving it up next time.
Yeah, you got to leave it up because then people are going to start sitting in those seats. You don't want them in those seats. You want them to just.
Oh no, people sit in the seats.
No,
They
you don't
can
want-
walk
Who is
up
the
there and
promoter, John?
sit. He's just a local comic shop owner.
But what's
He
the
has,
name of
he
the
has
show?
2 shots. What's the comic shop?
Yeah,
Couldn't tell you honestly. I can't think of it off the top of my head.
it's a shame. He got an amazing collection of Silver Age books in. I mean, it was truly astonishing. Whatever you wanted, he had it. It was awesome.
The area we live in, at least in where I live, it seems like there's somewhat of a never-ending supply of good stuff. I feel very fortunate to live in this area in terms of comic book collecting, because I know people live in other areas and they can't find anything. They're lucky to get new books. They're lucky to get any new variants.
Yeah, I walked in the
There's a lot
first
of shops
dealer
around me.
that
Like
I
the
talked
Diamond
to had a
Wrap.
high grade giant size X-Men 1 raw that he was processing. I mean, just it's the hottest book in the country. He's like, look what I got. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah. The Diamond Rep in this area must kill it. Just like, I assume they work on commission. They must do very well.
Yeah, it was a good buying show.
What else? Nico, what do you got on Golden Age stuff?
There were a ton of there were a ton of cool auctions actually that ended tonight. The big boy this
Okay,
week
thanks.
was the Superman 1 conserved coverless copy.
Conserved? Oh.
Yeah, it was a coverless conserved copy of Superman 1. And it was a no reserve live auction. It ended for $8,988.88. And
Is that on eBay?
that was on eBay. When was the last time you saw Superman 1 on eBay?
I know you've been talking about this. Everything moving to eBay lately.
wild.
which-
Yeah, it's absolutely wild.
What, like
The other thing
a
I've
book
been
like
kind of
that?
talking
Why
about-
would you put that on auction on eBay? That just seems really odd, like you said.
Well,
Superman
yeah, I mean-
#1 on auction. On
I
eBay.
feel like an auction house would give you a better deal on fees than eBay would for something.
Well,
that
eBay
big,
has
right?
a limit as to how much they can charge you.
Yeah, but I feel like auction houses, it would still be better. I don't know.
Well, they would.
That's weird.
I don't know if they. Do you know if they? When you put those big books up, like on
I'm not
Heritage
sure.
and whatnot,
I'm not
do
sure.
they just say, we need this to promote our current auction? We'll cut you. We won't. Make you
Heritage
pay
has
a
the
fee."
buyer's premium.
Yeah, I feel.
Yeah.
I feel like it depends on who the person is that's consigning the books to the auction houses, because I think they make deals based on who it is, how many books you have, what your history is with them, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. How much your money you're bringing to them?
Yeah.
That being said, I think a lot of this has to do with sellers figuring this out. There's a half a dozen of this book on, eBay right now. I want to take that book to Comic Link, Comic Connect, Heritage, where I may be one or one of 2 copies in a non-saturated market. When there's no copies and you can't get in those other auctions, because like they put sharp rules. We're not going to put, this book up to compete against this book at the same time in this, quarterly auction or whatever the heck it may be. Then they end up with on eBay. But there's been like just a number of really unbelievable books that have been showing up on eBay. So that was like the big dog. The other one that I thought was real interesting was this copy of Horrific #3. That was a let's see here. It was it's a shame. Do I not know what the CGC was on it?
I don't think it was graded, was it?
Was it a raw copy?
Yeah, I thought it was raw. Because there was there was a .5 copy that sold for just over $1,000 this week, which, you know, .5 is like, I'll handle it to get it in a case, and that's how I'm. That's your grade.
No, this is
I'm
CGC
able.
2.5,
Oh, was
the
it
one that
2.5?
sold. Yeah,
I'm
and
able
the
to
point,
get it into a case. You can have a .5 grade.
right. So the 0.5 sold for a little more than $1,000. The 2.5 sold for 2,200, 2,300 bucks.
Which seems like a steal compared to the .5.
Yeah.
I mean,
So, you know, I think what happens a lot of times is there's like an entry level, people just want a book and they'll pay a premium for that particular book, but you don't see that all the time. You know, sometimes with certain covers, you'll see, you know, like, and it's really about the spread of the census. You know, depending on what the top quartile is or top third of the books, sometimes you'll see the books take off, you know, like at a 0.7 or a 0.5 or wherever it may be. And, you know, where there's like, for example, $1,000 buy-in at, you know, for like a 2.0, but then you'll see like a 7.0 go for like $22,000, or you know what I mean? It just kind of depends on what the spread looks like. If there aren't a lot of high grade copies, so
do you know
an individualized decision?
Do you know on that horrific number 3? Do you think like what's the raw sales been? I don't know if there has been any on eBay to track, but so like a .5 sold for $1,100. Could you buy like a complete garbage copy that was for like $750 and get it graded at a .5 and put it in sell for? Yeah, exactly. So I guess what's the point? Why would you get it graded then? Because you have to pay a lot more to get that graded.
Makes sense to buy graded golden books. Buyers are really skeptical about
being restored.
Restoration.
Yeah.
Was it Frankenstein together? You know, so there's guys that are trusted within the market that get a premium for those books. Buyers go to them specifically, you know, and they just get much more for their raw copies than anybody else. You know, when Rick's Neat Stuff put something up on the CGC boards, people are going to pay more for it because they trust him. You know, he's like the it dealer when it comes to, you know, certain books. Or one of, you know, a handful of like it dealers when it comes to certain books. The thing that we were talking about that I thought was interesting is that the Horrific 3 art's a swipe.
It's not a swipe. It's not a swipe.
It's a Swedem Arthur Sudam.
No, it's not a swipe. They just took the exact
San Diego Comic-Con.
They took the exact artwork and they
blew it up.
They took the head and they moved the head. Yeah. So I mean that
they cut out the background.
They flipped it 90 degrees.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you like the other book, Jimmy?
Yeah, I think they're both good books to be buying.
I love the other book.
When this was pointed out a few years ago, they both started picking up. Horrific's just a classic cover. It was mentioned in Seduction of the Innocent.
And for those that don't know,
whereas the other one wasn't. So that's why I think it's a better book, but who knows? I mean, it's a classic book that's been going up for some time.
For those that don't know what we're talking about, it's what War Fury #1 is where the art originally gets published. And that was like sometime in 1952. And then like 6 months later, Horrific 3 gets published, and they basically cut the head out, flip it upside down, get rid of the background, and enlarge it, and it becomes, you know, just a really prominent classic cover.
Yeah.
So that was kind of interesting. The other thing that I thought was interesting is the Action 252. There was a CGC 7.0 no reserve auction.
Action 252 is what, first solo Supergirl, or what's is
first
that first
Supergirl ever?
Supergirl. Okay, because I know the first solo Supergirl has been getting a lot of heat recently too.
Adventure Comics?
I don't remember what it was. Could be.
There's the Supergirl tryout, but which is earlier than 252. But 252 is the one you want to get for Supergirl.
Right, and there was a no reserve auction for a CGC 7.0. It went for $5,400, which I think is a steal. I think somebody stole that book. I didn't get a chance to look at GPA. I don't know if anybody else did, but
Somebody somewhere did. Yeah.
yeah. Well, I meant did Jimmy or you?
Oh,
We'll see.
No, see, you said you have GPA, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, no, see, you pay for GPA, and I was gonna look. You asked me to look it up, and then I asked you if you had GPA. You said yes, you just didn't have it on your phone. So I thought that was such a joke. I didn't look it up. Because who can't just like put their password in on their phone and figure out the GPA?
well, how are
thing?
you like at conventions?
So is it my
looking stuff
fault?
Up? You don't have it on your phone.
Is it my fault? 100%. But I mean, I also think it's funny that you just didn't know how to like you don't know your password for your GPA account. So you sound so upset. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Nico. I just come on. Oh, you're looking it up right now. Okay.
I'm actually not.
He was looking up.
Here's
his
the thing.
password
I feel
first.
like I do more for your podcast
That's
and
true, you
your
do.
fledgling website
That's true. you do.
than you can qualify or quantify with words. And when I make minor requests, you should fucking jump.
You're right. No,
Oh.
I said it was my
Oh.
fault. What are we looking up? Action 252?
It's not a big deal. I'm over it. Let's
No,
move
but
on. to the
was it
next
Action
one.
252? I don't remember. I wasn't paying
Can-
attention. The point
can
is,
you-
it was my fault. 100%. I established that.
Let's move
I was
on
just
to the
too
next
busy
book.
laughing at you not knowing your password. What's the next book that you found interesting?
The Bronze Age bomber, the Star Wars one, 35-cent price variant, CGC 85 that sold for $5,700.
What? Wait, say that again.
For an 8.5.
What are you talking
Third-
about?
Star Wars
price
one,
variant.
35-cent variant.
Oh, the Star Wars one.
Star
Yeah.
Wars
Oh,
one.
yeah. Okay.
Don't
Yeah,
get
yeah.
it confused.
85 sold
Don't
for
confuse it with the-
$5,700.
I mean, that book's really hard. It was what they did. It's only a few issues. They did it to check the, to do what? Check the,
Test market variant.
yeah. So
Yeah,
You just never seen
stand
them
up.
come up. It was on auction.
Ever.
though?
Live auction.
Again, that's weird. Like that's not a book I'd put up for auction. I don't know.
It's a ballsy move, man.
Yeah, it is.
respect
It can work out well.
Just like the
or-
cover was Superman, and I think somebody stole the Action 252. And there was another one that I was kind of shocked at the results from.
People also say like to not sell around San Diego Comic-Con is like a low time for online sales. Now,
is
in
it
my
though?
opi-
Because I mean, my sales have kind of picked up these last few weeks.
I am completely not worried about any time of the year anymore because I think that's just something that it was in people's heads for a little while. Because what you're saying is you're worried about people going to one convention versus the worldwide masses of eyeballs on eBay. Like you're worried about like, I mean, what's your audience for any single book?
Well, it's kind of like how do you hit the sweet spot,
2,000,
though, right?
5,000 people. Yeah, if
Well,
you want to hit the sweet spot, I mean, it's impossible unless it's impossible every time.
Yeah, it's kind of how do you hit the sweet spot. For example, how are you selling to people that are going to be set up at San Diego Comic-Con so that you can like fluff their wall?
That's a good point.
I mean, those are
But
the books
also-
you want to be selling, right?
I will say I'm very interested. A lot of buzz to this Torpedo Comics convention that goes on the week before San Diego.
Absolutely.
So that would be this weekend, right?
Yeah, here's a
Yeah.
really good buying show, or at least it was last year.
Well,
and
and
'cause our
last
dealer,
year it was small. They were confined last year. More people wanted. They didn't know what the demand would be. Last year was their first year, right?
yeah,
I think
I
last
think
year
so.
was
First or second, yeah.
Did you see how many people they have selling this year?
No, I haven't really looked into it. I
It
kind of
was-
forgot about it.
It's ridiculous. Like anybody and everybody that does big books and is known will be there, and plus they're friends.
Well, I mean, San Diego Comic-Con setup's what, Tuesday? So
I don't know.
most of them would be in town already, or you would hope. Like, so I think they could get to town early for the most
I
part,
think-
and plus they had warning, right? So I think that might be why like a lot of the San Diego dealers might be there, and then I guess a bunch of other people from California might be showing up. So
I think
Yeah.
half of them are over setting up at San Diego because it's not for selling comics anymore.
well, I mean, Chuck went back to it, right?
Did he really?
Yeah.
After putting him on blast when his semi couldn't get through the union
Dude, like-
unloading fees.
I got to tell you, this week, going through his emails that he sends out, like just going through each one that I've just ignored. That what is going on over there? But that's a
why do
whole
you
other
ignore
thing.
him? I mean,
Dude, these
it's
emails
funny.
don't make sense anymore. Like I don't know. I don't know who's
That's
writing
why
these
you
emails.
read them.
I phoned Wes because Wes is friends with Chuck, and Wes is a friend of mine. I said, "What the fuck is going on with your friend?" He's like, "Oh no, everything's fine." I'm like, "No, something's going on with Chuck." And then I described to him what I was seeing in these emails. He's like, "No, there's no way." And I started sending him screen caps, and his response was like, "Chuck has lost it." So I don't know. I don't know. And this is his friend. So I don't know.
thought it was a very good recap, and Parasol Patrol came through. Is all I gotta say.
It's just not even that. Just some of these emails are just really weird. But whatever. Chuck knows what he's doing, and so yeah, he's back at San Diego. I'm
That's
not
amazing
sure.
to me.
So, I don't know. I think there's still comics there, but yeah, there's obviously not. It's not a comic show anymore.
Yeah, I had
I
a
just
couple
can't-
people tell me they were going to do the Torpedo show in lieu of SDCC. Like, I'm done with SDCC. I'm going to go sell comics to people that like comics, and whoever wants to go for the pop culture show can do that. But they're not there to buy comics, so why would I go?
If I was Baltimore or Heroes or Chicago Comic-Con, I'd be worried about this show being the premier show in a couple years for Golden Age and big money buyers, because those three are pretty much the ones that people go to: Chicago Comic-Con, Wizard World, Baltimore Comic-Con, and Heroes Con are where people spend their money to get the big books from the people they trust. I think this one's going to turn into that real quick. And Torpedo, from what I've heard, their books are in store are really high priced, but I think they're very savvy as to the collectibles, that comic market, and know what people want.
Well, the reality is they get the books that nobody else has. I mean, that's what you're dealing with these guys, right?
Well, they pay market price, and then they sell for like way above market price. So I mean, at shows too, they've been like that, and they're owned by the drummer of
System of a Down.
Yeah, so he's been known for a while in the comic book community of setting up at these shows with his stuff.
He seemed really like a cool dude.
Yeah, but he just buys what he likes, and I know he had like a bunch of giant size X-Men at one point, like I want to say 50 copies that he took a picture of, like him with all of them. So
jeez,
they
bought 3 Spider-Man 667 Delatos last year or earlier this year from another guy who was pretty well known in comics.
If you want to do something interesting, follow the CGC numbers on the sales on eBay. It's like the same book getting resold. Just crank up the price a little bit.
Well, they sold them at a con or not traceable by GPA. So I've heard some numbers on them, which seem a little. The numbers that I heard were above GPA, which I don't understand.
Like they sold them for, or they purchased them at?
They sold them for well above GPA. I'm not sure what they purchased them for. I don't know if that probably will never be disclosed, because the guy who sold them is I'm not a big fan of his either, but that's a different story. So they know what they're doing, they have money to do it, and that's basically what it takes.
And he's moved the needle on a lot of the PCH books himself.
Don't doubt
right?
it. Yeah.
I mean, there's no question about it.
Until Black Cat Collection starts selling his books, he should get a pedigree for his stuff.
Yeah, they're not giving out pedigrees anymore, though. That's why Magic Woo went over to CBCS, right? The Magic Woo collection. Like, how do you like? Cool name.
Oh, I like.
It's a cool name to see on books, though. I like that.
That was like the Power Rangers, Go Power Rangers variant. What you just did.
Oh, with my hands.
Did you see
the San Diego Comic-Con one that they have coming out? They have a few, which I thought they have a White Ranger one, which I think is cool. But they also have a Make-A-Wish Foundation one, which is like a kid wanted to be the Yellow Ranger, I think it was. So I think maybe it's the Orange Ranger.
Is it orange or gold or something?
Yeah, I think it's orange. So they have an exclusive variant for that, which is pretty cool. But only 30% of the proceeds goes to charity.
Hey, before we start talking about different things, can I run through?
No, I just wanted to say that. Sorry. What other books?
Just a couple other things that are interesting, right? So there was a Punch One that sold. It was a CGC 8.0 for $3,500.
That seems kind of low, right? Well, I don't know. I mean,
That's a good price. That's about market, but that's a big book that you don't see coming up
It
a
just
lot.
doesn't. It
period.
seems to be coming up a lot more now.
Absolutely. And then these are some of the things that I think are really interesting, right? So there's 2 Phantom Ladies up on no reserve auctions as we speak on eBay.
That's terrible timing, or maybe great timing, right?
Buddy, I can't remember the last time I saw a Phantom Lady up on a no reserve auction. Period.
Same sellers.
I didn't look, and I should have. The Phantom Lady 17, the classic bondage cover, is one of them. Now it's a 0.5 copy, but who knows where that will end. And then there's number 16 that's like fair, probably like 1.0, but it's raw.
Okay, I thought you were saying they're both 17s.
No, a 16 and a 17.
Okay.
Yeah. In no reserve auctions. The other thing that I thought was interesting is there's a Crime Suspense Stories 22 CGC 5.0 up with a no reserve auction.
How much is that at?
Earlier today it was at 2,800. I don't know where it's at right now. And then this was kind of wild.
Which one's 22?
The Johnny Craig carrying the head, like most famous.
Which one is 22?
I don't know the numbers. I just know the cover.
Yeah. Well, that's if you got
I
to
look
one,
at the cover and
one.
I say
it's like the most iconic one, I would say, of all the Crime Suspense Stories.
Well, I like the one where
arguably it's the most
heroin, but nobody else on the podcast likes that one.
What are you talking about? I did a variant where I homaged that.
No,
one.
you didn't. No, you didn't.
Okay.
Never mind.
Whatever.
That's Shock Suspense Stories.
I don't know which one that is. I bought it for like $20 and I like it because again, the guy has a hypodermic needle and he's about to do it and he's like sweating and I think it's like filled with morphine and there's like there's a spoon
around his
he has a rubber and there's a spoon there. It's really a great.
Those books haven't taken off though. They're cheap.
No, some of them have. Some of them really have taken off though. Some of those.
Some of them
EC
haven't
books.
though.
Yeah.
Well, no. I mean that specific cover.
It has. That's one of my favorite ones.
It's one of my favorite ones too.
The one with the guy blowing his brains out has not taken off.
Not comparatively. I mean, there's just so many copies of EC books. So,
but see,
like,
the same thing is with like those Green Lantern books, like the one where it's like John, it's
Speedy.
like my ward, don't do heroin. That one sells well, but the one where it has like them holding him and then it has the big needle on the cover, barely does anything. So I don't know, and that's my favorite one because again, it just has a giant needle on it, and it's like, come on, this is great.
True story. All right.
What
the other one that's interesting is there's a Tech 140. Now it's a restored copy. It doesn't look like the restoration can be removed without a hacksaw. But it's
is that something that you suggest people do though? They try to get restoration removed.
Absolutely.
Oh, okay. I don't know. Is that something you've done in the past?
Yes.
Okay. And
you've ever had leafing removed?
Okay, so look, it's hard because you can't get an opinion from CGC over the phone. You got to send them the book, which means you got to buy the book and have the restoration removed. Then they may tell you we can't remove it, right? So, like, obviously they can't remove glue. When they add pieces, they can't remove that. And like major color touch, which sometimes they'll call minor color touch. That goes like, where somebody takes a black magic marker up and down the spine. I mean, I guess technically they could remove it, right? But it would take forever and it would be cost prohibitive. But like minor color touch on a purple label, if it's going profoundly low, but that was something that you could do a lot easier a long time ago than you can now because people are hip to it. There's still an opportunity to do it, but there's just not a lot of opportunity to do it. And I think you can do it like, look for those books at shows as opposed to on eBay. And if you're looking for them on eBay, remember that other people are going to be doing the exact same thing. It's just something to think about. But this isn't one of those books. It is, however, a really pretty copy. And it is a 4.0. And earlier today, it was like at 1,700. And I think like when you look at Golden Age books, the stigma surrounding restoration is increasingly diminishing. People just want copies, and they would almost rather have a nice 4.0, 5.0 restored copy.
You're talking about supply and demand at this
point.
This is good though, because I mean, I have the lowest graded Superman 21. it's a 0.5. There's 3 other like 0.5s, but mine's the only one that's restored. Also, I stepped on the slab, so it's cracked slab. And I think it cost me like $30 like 8 years ago, which
How did
again
it
makes
cost
no sense.
$30?
Dude, I don't know. And it might have been like 5 or 6 years ago. I don't know, but it only cost me like $20 plus tax, so which was hilarious. But I mean, this is good news because hopefully I can pay for my kids' college. I guess.
Well,
with
what
that.
I was
Makes sense.
gonna ask.
Solid
Nico
plan.
earlier- Yeah.
I mean,
Nico
it
was
is. It
talking
is.
I thought
It's
you were
rare.
gonna ask
It's
Jimmy
rare
about
because
his
it's the
children.
lowest graded one.
I wasn't gonna go there, but it is
Oh.
good
Why
that
you
Jimmy
be like
has
that?
Jimmy has thoughts
Offspring?
that he will have children. Yeah, that's good.
They're not real children.
You had mentioned methods of removing restoration earlier, and you had talked about a hacksaw. Is that a common method?
Common methods. Yeah, it's used all the time. Sometimes people use sanders, like belt sanders, and
That's how
sometimes they burn off the restoration. It's
That's
very
how
technical,
That
highly
Superman
technical.
one. That Superman one that you talked about earlier. It had the cover on it, but there was a piece of gum on it, so you used belt sander restoration, and it took the cover right off.
I feel like we should get T-shirts that say "Belt Sander Restoration" on them.
That's a new band
Bang.
coming into town this week.
Yes. I wonder if the guy from Torpedo Comics will listen to Belt Sander Restoration music, like if we form a band.
He's the producer.
Maybe we can get Jimmy's friends from the Unpressable Defects to do a cover band for Belt Sander Restoration, and then I can just sort of like manage their act, and you
I'm
can
lost.
open for them and tell them good jokes.
I've lost. I don't know what we're going on about anymore.
Okay, fair enough.
I mean, I know I go on weird rants, but that one lost me.
Sorry. All right,
Well,
That one
last,
lost me when you said Jimmy.
fair enough. There's one last thing that's on the outline, I think, and this is everybody's favorite movie.
Dark Phoenix.
Oh, did either of you actually watch it?
No, I will watch it. I did not think the preview looked that bad. Truthfully, I've not been a big fan of many of the X-Men movies.
What? You
when
didn't like
people-
any? You didn't like First Class?
When people
Logan?
say like, "Well, didn't you like First Class?" I'm like, "What? I don't. Which one was that? I don't."
That was the one
That
where
was
they
the
had
good
like
one.
Michael Fassbender, and it was cool. And then
Yeah.
they had like
He was
a
in
sequel that
He's in the new one.
yeah, but then they had a
doesn't really
sequel
narrow
that
it
wasn't
down.
like it wasn't as good as First Class, but it was still good.
Was
Um,
the Apocalypse the one after First Class?
I don't remember. Was Apocalypse? That was one of them. I don't think I saw that
Tragic.
Age
one.
of
Yeah, it was
Apocalypse.
terrible. He's
Yeah.
talking about the Days of Future Past movie.
Yeah, but there was a
Oh, I
second
did see
there was a
that.
second one after Days of Future Past, right?
There
Apocalypse.
was one called Future Class. Yeah.
Oh no,
See,
there were 4 movies. I don't remember that.
there's like
Weird.
18.
I guess I only watched the first 2.
Well, it also gets confusing when you talk about the Wolverine movies mixed into.
But the trailer did look really good, and it just reminded me of
I
like
didn't-
X-Men First Class, so I could
I
see
didn't think
watching
the
it.
trailer looked bad. I think
Yeah.
people were like, "Why are they in space?" Which again, the trailer did not set up why they're in a spaceship all of a sudden.
All right. Well, I clearly didn't want to talk about that movie. The reason I want to
Oh,
talk
But
about
you
it,
added, I thought you added it to the outline.
I
Nope,
thought
that
you
was
just
sleepy.
wanted to talk.
Oh, you
I
know
thought-
you can just ignore things if you don't want to talk about them.
sure.
Yeah.
No. I have a tangential point that I think is
Oh, okay.
interesting.
Oh,
Yeah.
you want to
Yeah,
talk
yeah.
about how it's gonna bomb harder than the Michael B. Jordan Fantastic Four?
No, that's what you wanted to talk about. What I wanted to talk about was we've all seen giant size X-Men go nuts, right? But we haven't seen comparable incremental growth in X-Men 94. People who've been in the comic market for decades, obviously remember a time when those books were head to head. 94 never.
94 was winning for a little while.
That being said, my question is X-Men 101 going to see the next spike?
Oh, I
And
thought
is
you were
now
gonna
the
say
time to buy.
thought you were going to say a correction, because that book has been on a giant increase for 5 years probably. The needle, I would be interested to look at GPA on that, because I bet the needle just goes straight up on it. Like
What do you
in
mean
40
you don't have GPA on your phone? You
I
don't-
do, but I can't remember my username. I remember my password, but it's my username.
Oh man, Nico
How
got
many
so upset
emails
about that.
do you
That's
have?
hilarious. I have like 15. I have like this. I probably have
Right.
like 1 or 3 passwords. I think I have like 3 passwords that I just rotate.
I was
So.
just-
With all of the important information that you protect.
Yeah, I don't. Who cares? Who's gonna?
You just write them
whatever.
down on a piece of paper.
Aren't you supposed to have your password be password 123 and then put
That
like a
was
hashtag on it?
also-
And like the first letter is
that
supposed
was
to be a
in-
capital. Don't hack my stuff though. That's definitely not my password. That's my password. We have to edit that out.
That was actually in Spider-Man. John Favreau, the best actor in the Spider-Man movie, he told him his password was password.
No, you have to
So-
have letters, like, or not letters. You have to have numbers. And,
Yeah, it has to be an uppercase and a lowercase.
that's how
and
they
all that
change it now.
bullshit.
But what else we got?
But at any rate, I don't know. What, Nico, you do think?
I was thinking about who's going to
come back?
replace me on the podcast and who we're going to
Oh,
get
that's
to
not
fucking
good.
write the
That's
weekend
not good.
update.
Oh, that's
I
not
think-
good. That's
I
not
think-
good. This isn't a good. This isn't a good podcast then.
I think
That's-
Keith will.
Oh, you think Keith will? We might be able to get Keith to do it. But yeah, I'm not a big.
I don't
I'm not a
think
big
so.
fan. I'm not a. Oh, you're gonna
Maybe Keith
kibosh that.
Sambuca will fucking leave.
I'm
the
not a big.
Collectibles
I'm not a big
podcast
fan
and
of
he can come
X-Men. Honestly, so I don't think I'm a good.
here. You guys
expert
can
on
talk
that.
about baseball cards.
I'm fine with that. I mean, we could talk about Todd McFarlane buying baseballs. I guess
Yeah.
I don't know.
you get really upset now.
I have
I don't know how I
nothing
feel.
It's the lack of cooperation,
I apologize.
just a modicum of fucking.
I made a
what's the word I'm
note
looking
that says
for?
apologize to him when it ends. I wrote that down, so we'll talk. We'll
Good.
talk after.
Keeps a notepad going.
Yeah, I have to
That's
write. You have
great.
to write notes now, just in case like something miraculous happens, which it sometimes does. Anyways, I think that was a good podcast. I do, even though Nico's pulling his hair out. I'm just losing my hair
Who
now.
knows?
So it could be worse. Yeah. So thanks, guys. We'll catch you next week, hopefully. Maybe Keith will be here. Maybe Nico will be here. You never know. But yeah, thanks again, guys. We'll catch you next week.
See you next week.